Hi guys, it's me again. So it is Thursday, February 17th, 19th, 19th. And I decided to chime in and do a quick video. I got a big little blurb from a friend of mine, and she wanted to know a couple things about lifting and about what got me into lifting. So I decided I would do that since I'm procrastinating doing my microbiology study. So, I hope you like the view. I decided to switch it up and include Gabby in this video. You probably can't see her, but she's in there somewhere. And yeah, today is my rest day, so I'm kind of antsy, just looking to do stuff. So I also made these, I don't know, there we go, brownies. If you haven't checked out Armin at the Big Man's World, I've made these brownies like 4 times now, and they're amazing. And they're completely, they're made of whole foods. They're Greek yogurt brownies. And I've made them a couple times for my friends, my housemates, and now my dad wanted a batch all to himself. So I decided to keep myself occupied, not think about the gym, and make him some brownies. And I have a nice bison stew going in the oven for my dinner tonight. So if that turns out well, I will post that recipe up a little bit later. Anyway, so let's get to these questions. And excuse me for looking down. I'm looking at my phone. So basically, I did have a post earlier about what kind of got me into lifting. But she did ask about how I got started and like how I got into lifting. So I did do a video on that, but just to be brief, I started off lifting with my father when I was 16. I'm not really sure really what kind of really drove me into wanting to do weights, but I think maybe it possibly was more of an aesthetic thing, as many people start off with, thinking they have certain body goals or fitness goals in more of an exterior realm. And so I started lifting with him, and he showed me the basics. And then I kind of just went off on my own. We moved gyms at that point, and that was when I kind of started doing my own thing. And that's when I started to grow, and I started to really find that I loved lifting, and my passion started to kind of be more internal rather than external. And I started to see how strong I could get, and I started to realize that I'm actually decently strong. So it was more of an internal motivator to keep pushing myself and see really how strong and how far I could take myself. So that was really kind of what got me into it, and maybe I guess where my internal motivation and my passion started to come from. It was more about me lifting a lot and being, 5 feet tall, under 100 pounds, and being able to start to lift, close to my body weight was pretty. I impressed myself, and maybe that's, doesn't seem like a big thing for maybe some guys out there, but for a very small female, I never wanted to be seen as weak. That was one thing. I could never ever let myself be called weak. Yes, I'm small. I'm very small in stature, and I'm very petite, but I'm never ever going to be called weak. And that was something that always stuck with me, I guess. Let's see. How long does it take you to see results? In the gym, it's more of like newbie gains. A lot of people will see a lot of gains right off the start, and then they expect to see that continue over their career of lifting, which doesn't happen. For the first couple months, you'll see a lot of gains in terms of strength-wise, so you'll see yourself increasing weights very quickly. And it will hit a plateau at some point because, like I said, you've gone from not lifting at all to now stimulating those muscles and ripping them apart and then rebuilding, and they're going, oh, what's this? This is new stimulus, and it seems like you're rapidly changing and you're rapidly growing in terms of strength. As far as physical appearance wise, it takes much longer. A lot of people, they say those New Year's resolutions, they never last more than a month. Well, it's because it takes longer than a month to see anything, really. You may see those newbie gains and the strength gains, but at the very beginning, the majority of people are focused on external things. So they don't really care that they're going up in weight. It doesn't even register to most people. It's more like, well, why hasn't my stomach gotten flatter? Why hasn't my thighs stopped touching? Whatever it may be, which don't get me started on those. Those are just don't have external goals like that. You cannot spot reduce, as I've mentioned before, so don't go into the gym saying I want a flatter stomach. It's not going to work. Anyways, back on track. So those physical or appearance related gains, so to speak, take a lot longer. It takes a lot longer to shape your body. And it's not also just in the gym. The gym is only about 20 to 30%. You know, those ratios are all over the place, 20, 80, 25, 75, whatever it may be. The majority is your diet, and you have to be very in tune with your diet in order to really kind of fulfill that appearance goal. In order to, if your goal is to lean out, for example, and to put on some good muscle, you need to eat properly. And then the gym is just a supplement, essentially. It's there to help build the muscle, but you can't reveal the muscle and you can't grow the muscle if you don't have the food, if you don't have the sleep, and if you don't have the consistency. You have to do it every day. It becomes a lifestyle. So if you're not willing to do that, then you can't complain that you're not going to see results, because you're not. Food is very important. If you don't stick to foods that nourish your body, fuel your body properly, if you don't eat enough, you're not going to see anything, because food is the major contributor here to your overall appearance. They always say you are what you eat, and it's kind of true in that sense. Like I said, to conclude or to wrap up that big on ramble about that, you eat to fuel your body, you eat to give yourself the power in the gym, and you eat to rebuild those muscles that you're tearing and stressing when you're working out. When you're working out, you're building new muscle, but it's not going to ever be seen if you don't use your diet in a way to strip off any body fat that you may have that may hide those muscle in order to get that lean definition. Or, on the other hand, if you're in like my case, for example, if you don't eat enough, you're never going to be able to see much muscle growth at all or much strength gains, because you're not giving your body enough to be able to build muscle and be able to push and tear it up and rebuild properly. So that's my take on that. So results, you may see those newbie gains in the very beginning. Where your strength is increasing, it will plateau. Don't be concerned. This is normal. It's not like you've just, oh, this is my max potential. Then you have to really consider, okay, well, what is my next step here? How am I going to switch up my training in order to see more strength gains? And you have to go from there. But you will see a lot of increases in your weights to begin with, and then they'll slowly start to decrease. Unless you switch it up, you do new programs, you get more intense, you eat more. All of these different factors will then play into increasing those weights again. As far as your appearance, again, it's diet and exercise put together, as well as sleep. We'll really see where your results come from, and they take a long time. Okay, it takes years to put on quality muscle mass. Okay, don't walk into the gym expecting in the next week or by prom or whatever that you're gonna be rocking like a fitness model. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. All right, so her next question was, do you need protein powder? No. It depends on, obviously, when you're lifting weights, you need to make sure you're getting enough protein. I'm not going to advocate for a specific amount, because I tend to overeat protein. I love protein, and not protein powder, but protein in general, like my fish, my meats. I do use protein powder a little bit. I've been kind of getting off that a little bit because I want to see if it helps my stomach issues. And I am lactose intolerant, so I have to be very careful. I tend to stick with diesel. If you're looking for a really great protein, it tastes good, it's very clean, it's sweetened with stevia, so there's no artificial chemicals or crap in it. And it's also antibiotic free in terms of their cows, and it comes from New Zealand. So looking for the best quality whey on the market, find New Zealand whey. Because they actually aren't allowed to give their cows any of that crap that we're allowed here. So you won't see antibiotics or hormones injected into them. A little bit more on the pricey side, but I think it's worth it. Yeah, so do you need protein powder? No. You can get enough of your protein from your diet. You just need to be eating enough. At least, I will say at least 1 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body mass, or pound, whatever it may be. So 1 gram per pound is a minimum. And when you're training, depending on the intensity of your training, For example, for me, who trains till failure, and I do, you know, like bodybuilding type training, I'm at least 1.5. But again, like I said, I overeat protein, and I just because I love it so much. So make sure that you are getting protein, especially around your workouts. Get a good lean source of protein. You know, almost with every single meal. I personally, I can't see a meal without protein. It's like my favorite part of the meal is the protein part. So make sure that every meal you're not missing a protein source of some kind. If you're a vegetarian, make sure that you're getting a variety of different plant-based proteins because they're not complete. So no, you don't necessarily have to match every single, like do the whole protein matching at every single meal, but over your day, you should have a good variety so that you get those different amino acids that are important for building muscle and making sure that you get the full spectrum. Because if you're not eating meat, which has all of those amino acids already packed into one thing, you need to kind of put a little bit of effort into making sure your meals have variety. If you are concerned that you're not getting enough protein, or for some reason you don't like eating protein, or whatever the case may be, then yes, then protein is probably good for you. If it's also more efficient for you, maybe to grab a smoothie, a homemade smoothie or something in the morning, and it's easy to just throw some protein powder, and then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with protein. It's a very fast and effective source of protein. It's very clean. It's just pure protein, and it's one of the most absorbable, you know, forms of protein for the body if you're having whey. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you're vegetarian or vegan, the protein options get a little bit more tricky because they're not as available to the body. Your body doesn't absorb all of it. They're also a little bit slower to get into your system, and the consistency of them, palatability wise, is a little bit off. They tend to be a little bit gritty. I've tried a couple. I've tried Sun Warrior, Garden of Eden, I believe it is, Raw for Life, I think it's called. I've tried a couple of those. They tend to work better in baking because they are very gritty and they kind of have a chalky aftertaste. Again, there's also soy, but I don't advocate soy, so I've never tried any. Yeah, so like I said, if your diet is not up to par, if you're not getting protein very often and you don't like eating protein, then yes, I would recommend saying that protein powder is probably necessary for you, or a good thing if you actually want to build any muscle. If going into the gym is just something for you to do and you're just looking to exercise, get a good healthy dose of exercise in your lifestyle, you don't need it. Okay, the protein requirements of the higher end are for people who are killing themselves in the gym. People who are ripping themselves apart and doing bodybuilding style, CrossFit, whatever it may be, just really high intensity training. If you're in there doing 20 minutes on the elliptical, maybe some light weights, stuff like that, just kind of trying to be active, it's not a huge thing, okay? I still think for everyday needs, for your body to repair itself, to be able to keep you well and keep you healthy, you do need at least that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is required, because that's what builds your tissues. No other macronutrient necessarily adds to or physically builds new tissues, new cells. When you're sick, builds new, enzymes and stuff like that required for your immune system, stuff like that. So just make sure you're getting enough in general. But the higher end, you don't need it if you're not doing excessive amounts of training and you're not looking to build a lot of muscle. I hope that wasn't too all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm really trying to work on that. It's really hard. I get really off topic. Okay, why don't you do cardio? I've mentioned before that I have a really hard time keeping on weight because I can't bring myself to eat and feel stuffed 24/7. So I don't do cardio because cardio just burns calories. And for me, I have nothing to burn at this point. I'm trying to put on weight slowly, but it's a long process for me, and any gains that I manage to get will be lost in a second if I do cardio. If I throw in a cardio session every day during my weight training, all of my muscle that I have worked so hard to gain back after, a year and a half ago from doing Tough Mudder will be gone. It's just abolished because I don't have enough body fat on me for it to just use that when it runs out of fuel. So that's why I don't do cardio. I bike around, I walk around a lot, so it's not like I'm, completely sedentary. I also stand pretty much my entire day. This is the first time I've sat down today. I know you may find that strange, but I'm too hyper. I don't tend to sit. I work standing up and I do everything standing up. So I don't think my heart gets enough. My workouts are intense enough that I'm out of breath. So, and they're almost like a little cardio, like a circuit in their own. So I don't feel like I'm losing out on training my heart at all. So that's why I don't do it. If I do think, though, that cardio should be an important part of everyone's training regime, especially if you're looking for aesthetics, because cardio is little bits here and there, like I said, is good for obviously your heart health. It's good to obviously maintain that. And it's also, if you're looking for physique type goals, not that I recommend walking the treadmill for an hour, because I don't. That's kind of useless in my eyes. Take a look at high intensity interval training if you're looking for some cardio tips. That's more fun, it's more effective, and it does way more for your body than walking on a treadmill. So that's that. And I think she had one last question. Sorry, this video is running really long. Okay. She just mentioned the fact that I tend to be relatively lean and not bulky. Females, stop believing you're going to get bulky if you lift heavy weight. Okay? We do not have that much testosterone and growth hormones in our body like a man to do that. Do I look bulky? No, I don't really know how to show you, but I don't. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm very, very petite. But, like the other day, I bench more than my body weight. I squat, 150 pounds. Am I bulky? No. Okay? Lifting weight is going to build you curves. It's going to make you feminine in my eyes, and it's going to build some lovely lean muscle that will look just proportional to you. It will not make you bulky. We are not physiologically able to be bulky unless you're eating like a monster and probably injecting steroids. That's what you'll see when you see physique, or not physique, but like bodybuilder females who look like a man. They're probably shooting something up. So don't even think that. You're going to look leaner. You're going to look more feminine, more defined, more shapely. And if you don't have those curves, then build them in the gym with muscle and with weight training that is heavier and more difficult. Okay? So I hope that helped you out. And to my friend, I hope you enjoy this video. It's just for you. And I hope that everyone else can also benefit from this as well. And I hope it wasn't too rambly. And it's 18 minutes, so I should really stop talking. God, I'm a chatterbox. Okay, so I will see you and talk to you a little bit later. Bye, guys.